Going to stand slightly to the side here, so hopefully people online can see me, even though we can't see them just yet. So thank you everyone for joining us today. We're really pleased to have you all with us. This is the culmination of 6-7 years of work in building this library together. So we're so appreciative of everyone who's come in person and online to see the results and to share your generous feedback and your experience. We are really thrilled to have you all. Next slide. So we just wanted to give a heads up that you can join the Human Remains Collaboratory. This is our cross-sector multidisciplinary network. That's the link there for discmail.ac.uk/Human Remains Collab. This is not just for the project, but it's also an opportunity to meet other people that work in church heritage, archaeology, a variety of other disciplines whose work touches on the kinds of things that our project does. The Human Remains Library is the first large-scale project of the history of exhumation and reburial in British churches from the 7th to 19th centuries. We're using modern archaeology reports as well, and we've got images to come. We use digital humanities tools to find the sources, collate them, and analyse them. So we've got this brand new, large thematic collection to mine. And we're using that to develop innovative methods and models that other projects can use to help themselves. So the goal of our project is to use this long history of exhumation, beliefs and practices to support historic burial management today. Right on to.
It wasn't this.
Yeah, it was a test. Yeah, I checked it this morning, Elena. Yeah. So we're using this long history of exhumation beliefs and practices to assist modern management of historic burials, particularly in churches and cathedrals. We're trying to help inform best practice for those that have got boots on the ground, policies and gaps in policies, which I know many of you have had lots to say about. We're really pleased that you're able to be with us today. And also think about public perceptions of exhumation and how we manage human remains in the public eye, particularly in the church sector. So, thanks, James. So there are three project pillars in essence. We've got the research, which is focused on the digital library itself, which we call HRDL, which stands for Human Remains Digital Library. We're not that clever, that's all it means. So this has been funded by a UKRI Future Leaders Fellowship, which the project officially ends in 2026, but this is the first of what we hope will be lots of spin-off projects. We then have a network that sits alongside that, which is the Human Remains Collaboratory. And we're also here at Liverpool spearheading a new church heritage network, more broadly beyond just the burial. So we're interested in consultancy collaborations and training. So please do get in touch if any of that is really of interest to you. We are always open to improving what we do, maximising HRDL and making collaborations and connections in the future. And then our third pillar is practice, where we work around the gaps in policy, practice and public perceptions. And we've currently got another project that we're working on, looking at gaps in current UK church reburial policies specifically, with quite a few people in the room as well. Thanks, James. So HRDL, that's the link to it, hrdl.liverpool.ac.uk. It's now live. You can do with it as you wish. We're going to do a short demonstration of it in a minute. But really throughout the day, you're going to learn about HRDL from all the different sessions. You'll see it in operation from a variety of perspectives. So we have over 2,000 records in it currently, in the 7th to 19th century, the written records, and Adam has done a fantastic job in the last year putting on 264 excavations from archaeology. That's mainly focused inside cathedrals for now. We've got 35 different types of accounts. It comes from multilingual sources. So it's all in British modern English on the corpus to make it user-friendly. GitHub, you'll have the original languages to download if that's what floats your boat. And it's been created using this kind of new Blazor framework, which is one of the innovations from our project. James. It has taken a huge amount of work to build this digital library, and I just want to take time to thank each member of the current Human Remains project team. James Butler, who you'll see in a minute, who's our digital humanities, linguistics and spatial humanities guy. Dr. Glenn K. Bretson, who's our medieval resident. He works in the text, the languages, but also craftspeople who actually deal with the logistics of reburial. Dr. Adam Daubney, Archaeology, Heritage and Small Finds, who's done a brilliant job joining us this year. It doesn't even feel like that, it feels like it's been forever. And then Katie, I want to give a special shout out for all of you who have had hotels and restaurants and bookings done by Katie and the Eventbrite and everything. I just want to give Katie a round of applause. So if you're happy. And she also has a brilliant background in heritage as well. And then Tom Fitzgerald, our PhD candidate, who many of you will know is doing fantastic new work on post-medieval channeling, which up until his PhD, people thought didn't even exist. And he has over 600 accounts to say that's not true. It did. And also our resident expert in antiquarianism as well. Thanks, James. But I also just want to quickly thank our previous project members who were kind of standing on the shoulders of giants here, particularly those who are in the room, Dr. Alexander Claridge, who worked on our Royals collection, Karen Morell, who did a fantastic job with our post-medieval collection, Richard Bellis and Llewellyn, who I believe are online, worked on our 18th and 19th century medical and science collection and our Welsh collection, Dr. John Jenkins and Dr. Brian Costello, who've worked on medieval military burial, and Dr. Olivia Colquitt, who can't be here today, unfortunately. So thanks, James. So all that to say, welcome to today's event. We're really delighted to have you here. It's informal, relax, enjoy yourself, take as much food and drink as you can. Please don't leave us with a biscuit to the end. We can't afford to put any more weight on. And thank you so much for coming. We'll get started now. So James and I are now going to do a double act. We're going to reverse.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to do something a little bit risky today, in that we're going to give a live demonstration, and I'm not actually going to be the one doing it. So yeah, so this is new territory. Fingers crossed, but we are now live, and let's showcase it. So hurdle. So this is what you will see when you come to our digital library. Got some wonderful images that have been designed by Katie and have and our representation online. That's our brand identity. It's wonderful, wonderful stuff. So if we could please go to the about page, thank you. This page will just give some basic stats, and that's already out of date. We now have 2,562 as of this morning, so it's going to be constantly updated. We do have a lot of text waiting in the wings, just waiting for some research until it can be de-embargoed. So do keep a close eye on it. So do keep a close watchful eye on us. We will be constantly updated with new and exciting accounts. Some really exciting, some really juicy things waiting in the wings. So here we just give some basic design philosophy and discuss some of our planned updates and works in progress. We've got embargo text, and we're thinking about ways to incorporate images, but that's in the distant future. If you could please move on to the guidance. Thank you. So one of the key things that's really important for us was consolidating a lot of material, a lot of very, very different material, and bridging that through some creative metadata values. So we wanted to provide plenty of options, but not go overboard, not go crazy, we don't want to hide everything in minutiae. So on this page, we offer some descriptions of the terms we have chosen for our vocabulary, for our choices of accounts, and how we have chosen to define them, what definitions we are working to. And we provide that for all of our metadata fields that we operate on the digital library. We've got all sorts of fun things down here. It is worth a read, even though it is a wall of text. So a lot of the decisions, such as even the decision for what counts as medieval and post-medieval, and I believe there was so much discussion on those on those terms. Thank you. So shall we head to the library itself, Ruth? Thank you. So the search page, and this is it. This is 7 years, and I can't believe we are at this stage, and it's live and it's available for everyone. So exciting. But as I said, we've got over 2,500 documents. Where do you even start with that amount of material? So using the Blazor framework, we opted for a filter down approach, starting from the top and working your way down. So as I said, we've provided lots of filter options through metadata, and the idea is to work through those to whittle down for whatever you're looking at. Oh, I should also say one of the things that was important for me in encouraging exploratory research was having the default order set to random, because I really wanted to emulate that idea, that feeling of when you go to a library, you go with a book in mind, you've got a reference, but you look around, you see things like, oh, that looks interesting. That looks even more fun. Oh, I don't even want that first book at all. So I wanted to simulate that idea of rabbit hole research, of seeing something from the description. You think, oh, let's have a look at that. So, as I say, we've got all sorts of metadata information, from the document information to the document details, which allow you to start to whittle down into whatever may be of interest. We've got archaeological and textual split. More on that in just a moment. We've got the count types, that's the 35 that Ruth mentioned before, and we've got all sorts of ways of whittling down. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm going, yep.
So in terms of, well, actual bodies and people, you know, that's something the most interesting. That's kind of the important part of this library, isn't it? So we have 3 means of searching. We've got a keyword search. You can search by the deceased name, and you can search by persons involved. And we've taken a filtered approach to these searches. So if you could please go to the deceased name filter, Ruth, and if you search John, you see it will slowly whittle down into standardized name forms, and you can select any of these, such as John, King of England, and if you just do a search, that will start filtering it down, and you can then start to carry on filtering if you so chose. If you clear that, please, and if we have, and it's the exact same for persons involved. So if we do a search for Matthew, maybe Matthew Parker. Yes, can't go wrong with that. Always a good example. And here we see there's some. You can see everything that Matthew Parker was involved in. He was present and part of the record of the account, talking about what's been done. So if you could clear that, please. Site name has been very important to us because it's just important to know where things happen, as well as who's been involved. And this has been quite interesting. As you can see, we've got a very, very long list here. But and we've got examples of Chester, and you see we've got Chester and Chester Cathedral. We've got Chester, we've got Chester Le Street, which is very different. So this is the sorts of things we're working to. If you click on Chester Cathedral, actually, please. Ruth. Yeah, I think we go down to document 300.
I think I've still got a filter on, sorry.
Right, actually, if you go to Chester, actually, not Chester Cathedral, sorry, that's my bad.
Chester, yeah, sorry.
My bad. Many times.
Yeah.
So it's down there, bottom left. So this is a good example, a good sample text of, even though it discusses Chester Cathedral, it's discussing how this individual doesn't want to be buried there. So the decision was made this account discusses Chester, but not Chester Cathedral, because it's not actually involved, because he doesn't want that. So it's working with the negatives, and the double negatives, and then there's double anti-negatives, and so we've taken a very top-down approach where this has just been assigned to Chester, but by the way our filter and search terms operate, you can select site names such as Chester and then search for cathedral to see where the cathedral's mentioned in Chester, but where the cathedral isn't actually involved, if that makes sense. So it's because we wanted the search terms, they all operate just from the records themselves. They don't operate from the title, and they don't operate from the description, the funky descriptions that you see there that we want to lure people in with, because we have created those, but we want the searches to be based on the records themselves. That was our key driving factor. So I mentioned before, and as Ruth said, we've got, in this past year, Adam has added a lot of archaeological material, which is a little bit different from the textual accounts which came before, and this has brought in a whole range of challenges, but brought in a bigger range of opportunities and really exciting developments that we've had a chance to work on. So here's an example of a record where if you click on the titles, you'll see the preview page, but then this is the actual record itself, and each of those links on the side can be clicked at, and that will clicked on, and that will automatically filter out in the library. So there's lots of ways back and forth to find things of interest. And as you'll see from this sample record, this is list-based rather than narrative, because as any of you who work with grey literature may be aware, they are so disparate in the way they report finds. So we thought it was best to take an approach where we synthesize that information, present it in this manner, in a much simpler manner. Say, this is what's been found, this is where, this is why, what else has happened, and what's happened. So we condense that information to the bare bones. No pun intended. It was going to happen, but this is an area that we've really worked on, where we wanted to work with some quite controlled vocabularies. So as you see here, we've got human remains observed as unintentional disarticulated spread. Now that does not appear; those terms do not appear in any of the textual accounts, which means that if we do a search for unintentional disarticulated spread, just do a standard keyword search, it will show all the archaeological records in which spread has been found and has been reported on. So thank you, Ruth. And that should all be archaeological. Yes, it's all archaeological, thankfully. If we got a textual in there, that would have been embarrassing. So that's just a way of working. That's been our way of working around and bringing all of these disparate reports, all these accounts from a huge time frame over 7 centuries, over 2,500 documents, bringing it together through careful vocabularic choice. That's been very important for us. It's been our driving force all along, and that provides a very nice segue into this first session.
Thank you, James.